Hi, I'm Jack Pott, and for the last 5 years I have been the Director of Music and Arts at Asylum Hill Congregational Church. Part of that job is to be the director and producer of the annual Boar's Head and Yule Log Festival. So what is it that I do throughout the year? Well, initially there's a lot of planning and committee meetings, both to talk about what went well during the previous year, what changes we might want to make musically or dramatically for the coming year. There is hiring of musicians and other performers, there are contracts to sign, and there are always lots of questions to be answered. When it comes to the month of December, there are rehearsals to help schedule and oversee, both with our dancers from Spectrum in Motion, as well as with our angel puppeteers run by Ann Cubberly. The week of the show, of course, there are rehearsals both for the choir and instrumentalists. There is the wonderful organized chaos that is the single cast rehearsal that happens on the Wednesday before the show. And then there is some prayer, both for a successful weekend, but also maybe for just a little bit of snow. Not a lot, just a little bit of snow. On the Friday of the first performance, I walk through the sanctuary, giving everything a once-over to make sure things look exactly the way they should. There is a meeting with the animal handlers to do a walkthrough of the sanctuary with music so that they are potentially used to hearing the music while they're walking through for the show. And then, before each performance, I meet with the choir and do warm-ups and some notes. And then I'll meet with the full cast, doing cast notes for them, last-minute reminders of things to remember for the upcoming performance. At that point, it's time for me to head to the sanctuary. During the pre-show, right around the time usually when the jesters are about to come in, is when I make my way into the balcony. And I have to say, from up here, I have the best seat in the house to see everything. Now, of course, I have two jobs up here while the show is going on. First and foremost is to lead the music here of the numbers of instrumentalists and vocalists that help make the music of this show amazing, as well as working with Susan Carroll on our great Aeolian Skinner organ. The second job I have is that I'm on a headset and I'm constantly turning around to look at what's going on with the show to make sure things are running smoothly, asking questions if things are starting to not come out on time, or more importantly, making sure that the music we're doing up here is in the right time frame for what's going on down below. Because if the sheep decide to walk a little bit slower or be unruly, the music we do during that scene may have to be repeated or cut to make sure that they have enough time to get into the center aisle before the large angel puppet by Ann Cubberly makes its way down the side aisle. In closing, I want to say a couple thank yous. First, to the co-chairs of the festival, Linda FAZIO and Jim GRIGSBY, for their tireless efforts, for all the committee members of the Boar's Head Festival Committee, and the work that they do not just the week of the show, but throughout the year. Next, to my predecessor, Steve Mitchell, who brought me on in an assistant role and helped me to learn so much of what goes on behind the scenes with this festival for 15 years. Next, my musical compatriot here at the church, Susan Carroll, who does everything on the organ with grace and with confidence. And then, last but certainly not least, to Dick and Grace Einsel. First to Dick for hiring me in 1995 to be a section leader for the choir. And to both Dick and Grace, who in 1968 had the courage and creativity to launch and then sustain something that has become such an integral part of the end of the Connecticut Christmas season. In the spirit of giving and in the spirit of Epiphany, Dick and Grace, the gift that you gave us is the gift that has kept on giving and will continue to give far into the future.
The festival began in 1968, and it was thought at the time to be a one-time Epiphany celebration. So here we are, 53 years and 224 performances later. In those 53 years, we have never once had to cancel a performance for any reason. We've had snow, we've had bitter cold weather, never canceled once. But of course, this year, like many other things that have happened, we will not be able to do live performances. Now, we have an amazingly dedicated and creative group of people on the Boar's Head Committee. So we got together and we said, well, what can we do? So the first thing we came up with that we could do was an idea that Jack had. So Jack, tell us about that.
Fortunately, we have wonderful video and audio footage, both from 2018 and 2019, of all 5 performances from those 2 years. And what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is actually take that footage and compile together a single video performance production, which we will broadcast on January 6 through 10 on the church's live stream channel. On January 6, 7, 8, it'll be a 7 p.m. performance. And on January 9 and 10, there'll be 2 p.m. matinees. And so anyone can tune into these. And it's important that we also give a huge thank you to the American Federation of Musicians Local 400 chapter for working out a special contract with us, allowing us to create this video.
Now, our next idea came from Marcie Sener. Marcie is our creative force behind the look and to do this introduction, to let you all know what it takes, all the planning and all the hard work, year after year, to do this festival, and with a great job.
Well, there are 25 members of the Boar's Head Committee in total. They work on about a dozen different teams, and they prepare a lot of things to get ready for the performance. People work with in the cast, with the choir and the orchestra, and the backstage crew, the people who take care of the animals, throwing the reception. Everyone has a part to play. So sit back and enjoy the stories that you're about to hear from our committee members about what they do and how much fun they have being part of the Boar's Head team.
And I am with Tim Comerford, the owner of Comerford Farm. Tim, can you give us a brief history about your connection with Boar's Head?
Oh, sure.
And tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, we've been going, this year would have been our 41st year. This would have been the 41st year. I remember I was 7 when they called from Asylum Hill, and it was a last minute thing. And my dad said, "Would you go with me?" And I said, "Sure." And we went out to Asylum Hill, and you know, that was 41 years ago. And we've been every year since. And I know we've missed a few days due to storms. Not many though. And we love going. It's just, we love everybody there, and
so
it's just a big part.
How do you transport the animals?
Well, all our animals that go to the Boar's Head go on a custom-built aluminum transport trailer, and we pull it with a 4-door dually. So in other words, we bring the camel, I think we bring a llama or an alpaca, a donkey, and sometimes maybe a miniature horse. And the rabbit that has become a big player. And but those are custom-built trailers. They're specially built for them. Generally driven by a family member most all the time. And what we do is we leave, you know, early afternoon on Friday to get out there, and we always do a run through. We have 6 camels, and over the years, what we've had are animals that get older and retire to the farm, so we have to bring a new one. So when we get there, we give the camel a run through and make sure everything is good, and then we do the event, and then right away we come right home, and the animals go back in the barn, or if it's nice out, which generally it's not, they go, you know, they'll go outside or they'll go in the barn. So,
do you leave any of the animals at church?
Sometimes we leave the goats.
Yeah.
The goats are pretty humble, and you know, they like being stabled in the church. But generally, we always bring the camel home, unless we're afraid that the weather's dangerous for the truck to come home. We're really self-supportive. The only thing we need is water. So what we'll do is, if it's going to be, if the trailer stays overnight, we lay rubber. We have rubber matting in the trailer first of all on the floor, and then we lay lots of sawdust on top, and then you put straw on top of that, and then their hay and feed on top of that. So it creates a nice, you know, barrier. Yeah, it makes it nice for them.
Well, can we meet some of those animals that
Sure.
come up to Asylum Hill?
Well, these here are miniature donkeys. One of these guys always comes to Asylum. As you can see, we have the babies over there. But we raise our donkeys, so and they last forever. These guys will go 35, 40 years. We also raise our miniature cows and our zebus, the goats, the sheep. The only ones that we don't raise are the camels, and we usually find camels that need attention. Either ones that first-time mothers that neglect the babies, and friends of ours have them, and we bottle raise them. As you can see, we got these 3 over here, and these 3 are the young ones. These guys are only 3 years old, and these are going to be the new guys. And what we do is we start them out in the petting zoo. And because they're bottle raised, they're already friendly. And you could say, I mean, this is Major here, this is Carl, and Sandman in the back. So we slowly acclimate them to be around people and to get friendly. And then these will be the guys that will come to the Boar's Head after we retire the older guys. And when we retire any of the animals, they all get retired to our farm here in Goshen. And, you know, they'll live out the rest of their life here. They're lawn ornaments. We call them lawn ornaments, and we probably have over 50 lawn ornaments, and they just love to be out in the pasture eating. Actually, again, we raise these guys as well. This is the mother of the taller one there, and that's her baby here. And these guys here, again, we raise them here on the farm. We put them right in the petting zoo with the kids. They get acclimated around people, and that's what makes it so easy for them to go in the church. They're not scared to be around people. They're not scared of the music or the lights. They're really like giant, super good dogs, all our animals.
We're here at the Whispering Horse Therapeutic Riding Center to meet Pat Bean. Pat is the one who brings our horse to the Boar's Head Festival each year. Meet Pat Bean and Jake. Jake has been in the Boar's Head Festival a couple of times, I think, yes. Pat.
Yep.
So, Pat, we're here at the Riding Center. Just tell us what goes on here.
Okay, nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
We're Whispering Horse Therapeutic Riding Center, and we use horses for social, emotional, physical, children and adults. Mm-hmm. So people who have some disabilities that affect their life's ability to do different things is what we do here.
This has a calming effect, and just
it does. The horse works on their social, emotional, but it also works on sensory input. Mm-hmm. It works on tone. So a lot of these people have motor planning issues, which are Like if I asked you to take your hand and touch your right shoulder, they would go like this and it would immediately stop. Not anything they think about, but it's just what happens. For the autistic kids, it is very calming, very relaxing. If you were to come out here and see a session going on, you couldn't tell who was autistic and who wasn't. So it's quite interesting.
There were several years back when we decided we wanted to have a horse in our Boar's Head Yule Log Festival. We knew about you because we had seen the Boar's Head Festival at Trinity United here in Springfield. That we knew that, and we saw the horse, saw you leading the horse, and so we came here immediately, and it's just been a great addition to our show. Comes out early, and this is one of the first exciting things that happens at the festival. But you were just telling me a moment ago about these horses. They seem to be so calm, and they just walk down the aisle, and everybody loves them, and they're handling it so beautifully. But it's not that simple, is it?
No, it's not. Especially going through that door that is teeny tiny, and we have to duck our head to get through. But these animals are flight or fright, and any little thing could set them off. And they could rear, they could kick, they could buck, they could do anything. So we just say a little prayer before we go through the door.
Well, we've had nothing but just very, very calm walks.
Yeah.
So, well, you do have to go through that door, but I understand in Springfield you have to go up a flight of steps.
Yes, we do.
That's another challenge.
That's
right?
a little traumatic.
Right. So.
But this guy, he's been doing Boar's Head in Springfield for about 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any problem. I kind of like freak out because they're not really wide, and he could slip, but he knows his music too, which is really freaky.
Yeah. You know, we had the same thing. You know Tim Comerford.
Yes.
And
I know them very well.
The camels know their music as well.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, Jake, we're not going to be able to do the Boar's Head Festival this year. I don't know if you know that, but we'll see you probably year after next.
Hopefully.
So hopefully. And we'll just see how things are going.
Yeah.
Well, Pat,
thanks.
Thank you for letting us come and spend this time with you. We're looking forward to doing this again sometime.
Awesome. You have a wonderful program. It's a beautiful, beautiful show.
Thank you very much.
It really is.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Valade. I have been a member of the Cast and Costume Committee and co-chair for the past 10 years. It all began when my daughters were in the festival when they were young. I had experience with costume design and immediately fell in love with the festival and the entire Boar's Head experience. The rest is history. We are responsible for recruiting church members of all ages. We hold only a one-day sign-up to collect forms, take pictures, and measurements. We then automate the information according to age and gender. And in theater, where most costumes are created for the actor, here we fit the person to the costume. We do our best to accommodate people of all ages and abilities, and that is what makes the Boar's Head experience so meaningful.
Hello, my name is Marcie Sener. I'm a member of the Cast and Costume Committee. My responsibility is to design and construct the costumes. Also to the look of the overall tableau. I was a member of the church in 1989, but before I joined the church, my friend Margot, who was the head of the Boar's Head committee, asked me to make a coat for the camel. I didn't have a sewing machine or didn't have any sewing experience. I didn't even know the size of the hump of the camel. But somehow I borrowed a sewing machine and I made the coat. Even though it was a challenge, it was done, and 32 years later, I'm still making costumes. I guess you can say I made it over the hump. 53 years ago, when the Boar's Head started, the costume consisted of bathrobes and bed sheets. Later on, we rented costumes from a local costume shop. In the 90s, we started the mass production of our costumes, and today we own them all. The most common question people ask me is, how do we fit so many people each year in these costumes? And we have a little trick. that we use. In a little while, I'll show you how we do this.
Hi, welcome to the Boar's Head Dungeon, better known as Marcie's Basement. This is where all the magic happens. We start with patterns for children, men's, women, of all ages and sizes, and from there the concept is determined, and then Marcie takes it from there by sewing and different fabrics. And Marcie, can you tell us a little more about how you get the fabrics and where you come up with the idea?
Yeah, the fabric comes from New York, and I go to New York with the ideas that we come up with and the fabric needed, and then it's all made here, serger and sewing machine, and behind here there's a whole lot of boxes that are filled with fabric, so we need to do something on the spot. We don't have to be running around. I want to show you my little trick on how do we fit so many people into one costume, and it's very simple. You have a big flap here in the back with Velcro, and that Velcro moves back and forth, so according to the size of the person.
How do you hide that from the back
Oh, that's
of the
very
costume?
simple. We put a hat on and we put a veil on, and then you don't see any of that. So that's the trick. And we look forward to next year when we can have a in-person Boar's Head again, God willing.
Hi everybody, I'm Sarah Pierce. I'm a member of the Casting and Costume Committee for the Boar's Head, and I get the fun job of showing you a little behind the scenes with the costume room. These are just a few of the gorgeous costumes that we have for the Boar's Head Festival. The process is that sometime in September we do casting, and from there we fit people to the appropriate costumes. They come back in November for any alterations that need to be made, and get to try on their costume and get a feel for it so that they are ready when they come back in January to dazzle for the Boar's Head Festival. As you can see, there are hundreds of costumes, and even over here we have a lot of the accessories and hats and other things. All of these cabinets are filled with elements that make the Boar's Head really what it is. And we can't wait to get back here next January to do it next year. I miss this room, so see ya.
Hi, my name is Liz Antonio Lamarco, and I'm the chair of the Makeup Committee. Our team of 13 makeup artists is responsible for applying the makeup to 150 plus cast members. In the 10 years I've been doing this, the biggest challenge is trying to get the cast ready in the order of procession.
Hello, my name is Sandy Knight. I've been doing makeup for about 12 years now, and I was chair for about 3 years. One of the joys of my role is getting to know each person in the cast up close and personal. Our biggest challenge is to make sure that they look great before they go out the door, especially that they have enough lipstick on so that Marcie doesn't send them back to us.
We have been members of Asylum Hill for 25 years. My husband and my 2 children have also been participating as cast members in the Boar's Head since the children were very little. It has been the highlight of our holiday season, and we have the most wonderful memories of our weekends together.
Hi, I'm Deb Smith.
And I'm Janet Kennedy.
And I'm Cindy Jaworski, and together we are the co-chairs of the Properties Committee. We work with casting and costumes to determine what roles are going to be in the show each year, and then determine what each cast member is going to carry. We have quite a collection of props because the show has gone on for 50-something years at this point, but because the show changes somewhat every year, we sometimes have to hunt down or prepare new props, which we find to be a lot of fun. We also do a lot of repair work before the show and are firm believers in the power of glue guns and duct tape. One of the challenges of our job is timing. We have to make sure that all the props are ready in procession order to go into the show. And there oftentimes are last-minute changes to the procession. We also have the challenge of keeping our fresh props looking fresh. We use fresh flowers every year, and much of the food that is sent in the show, including the Yule log, plum pudding, and mince pie, are all real and made by AHCC members. So we have to take care to keep them safe and maintain them during and between shows.
There are also bound to be accidents. For instance, 2 years ago, the large Moravian star was knocked over and broken within minutes of when it was supposed to go into the show. With duct tape and clever help by one of our shepherds, we did not miss that cue. And now we keep the star in a different place backstage. Then there was the time that the head cherub went into the sanctuary without baby Jesus. We had to figure out a way to get the baby in without the audience noticing, and we managed to do that. Why do we do the show? First off, who could ever tire of hanging out backstage with a camel while he's waiting to make his big entrance? And we are moved by the music no matter how many times we hear it. Personally, every show, I go into the ante room right off the sanctuary when the song, "Let Every Mortal Flesh Keep Silence," is sung. And I am close to tears when I see the cast hold up their props in homage to Jesus. It's a stunning vision, and I will never ever tire of it. And that's why we're involved in this show and can't wait to do it again. Thank you.
I'm Dale Walker, and I'm in charge of the ushers for the Boar's Head Festival. We have about a dozen ushers, and we are responsible for seating about 700 people at each of the 5 performances. We only have 30 minutes to do that, and it can be very challenging to get everyone into the pews. We're also responsible for ensuring that people stay in the pews and keep their arms and their legs and their children there, because there is entertainment and there are live animals in the aisles. The children particularly like it when the sheep poop in the aisles, which they do on a regular basis. Another responsibility of the ushers is to clean that up quickly and get it out of the way. It's not very glamorous. I really enjoy watching the faces of the children and the adults during the performance. When the 3 kings enter the sanctuary, or when the camel walks down the aisle with his big feet, or the angel comes toward them with her arms outstretched and she's illuminated, you can see the joy and the delight on their faces. At the end of the performances, we greet people and we hear their comments, and they are always about how moved they were about being in the sanctuary and the music and the beautiful costumes and how much it meant to them. One woman in particular stands out. She came toward me and she grasped my hands tightly, and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, "I didn't have Christmas this year. My husband died. This was my Christmas." And I knew we'd done something really good that day.
Hello there, my name is Christina Hollister, and I'm the chair of the Cast Management Committee for the Boar's Head.
And I'm Heidi Lane, and I work with Christina.
Imagine you have 150 people. They have to be sent to costumes, to get hair done, to get their makeup done, and then director's notes. And then you have to get them in 2 lines, in the right order, at the right door, and at the right time.
And all those people, did you tell them about the animals?
I didn't.
And we have to get all the animals in the right place. We have a camel, a llama, a donkey. We have chickens and geese and sheep. Oh, the sheep. Lots of sheep.
They're not potty trained.
No, none of them.
And then we have to get all those people and all those animals who aren't potty trained and get them back out of the sanctuary at the right door, in the right order, at the right time.
And we do this all in 1 hour's time.
But we don't do it alone.
No. We have 9 people in our group. We've been together for 5 years.
5 years.
And we've just become this well-oiled machine.
If you exclude the bloopers.
And the poopers. Enjoy the show.
I'm Lori Kellogg. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Boar's Head Hospitality Committee, along with my good friend Carol Pinkston. We take care of the reception after each performance. And also make sure the cast stays well fed and happy, and the Drew Hall reception area looks festive and beautiful. We collect homemade delicious cookies from our parishioners. We make sandwiches and cut them into hundreds of delicious little bites, and we keep people happy after their performance.
Got some numbers for you guys. When it comes to the sandwiches, we purchase around 50 loaves of bread, about 46 pounds of sandwich filling, the ham, the tuna, the egg salad, cookies. One year, we actually took the time, sort of estimated the cookies that we go through. 275 to 280 dozen cookies is what we go through every year. And of course, the most important thing, the volunteers. We use 54 to 60 volunteers every year, from the sandwich making that Lori talked about, decorating Drew Hall, and then actually staffing the receptions. And that's the most important thing. And what we're really excited about here is for you guys to hear from Mary Crary and Betsy Russell. These are two women who, among literally hundreds, that have helped us all through the years on the reception committee, from sandwich making to actually serving their time, and we look forward to hearing from them.
I'm Betsy Russell, and this is my friend Mary Crary. We co-chaired the Boar's Head reception committees for 30 years, working hard over cookies and sandwiches. There were a lot of helpers that helped us. In particular, Grace Eitzel was an integral part, and her husband was the creator of the Boar's Head Festival. I should always remember those wonderful weekends, that wonderful long weekend in January where we participated with the 5 receptions. It bring back good memories.
As Betsy has said, it's 30 years of this experience with the Boar's Head and the sandwiches and cookie making has been a memorable one for me. I think about it all the time. I feel sad that it's not going to take place this year, but I have happy memories of the 30 years that we've done it together, made wonderful friends, and it's just something that I will treasure for the rest of my life, being part of it.
Hi, I'm Mike Como, and I'm the chairperson of the Stage and Construction Committee for the Boar's Head and Yule Log Festival, and I have been for about 5 years. We are mostly a behind-the-scenes committee. There's very little to do the weekend of the show. All of our activity happens before and after. We have a big setup day where about 25 people take 4 or 5 hours in the morning to bring all of the set pieces and props from wherever they are during the year, whether it's downstairs, underneath the sanctuary in the dirt room, or above the temple room in the attic, or in the library in the closet. We have set pieces everywhere and make use of every square inch of the building throughout the year to store our stuff that comes out for really just 2 weeks of the year. The Drew Hall stage is even home to our fireplace and the vinyl and marley mats that get laid out to protect the floor from any gifts that the animals decide to leave us. One of my favorite activities as part of the staging committee is at the very end of setup day, after everybody else is finished and leaves, there's a one-person task because it involves wet paint, and that's doing touch up on any nicks and dings and scratches that happen to the set during the year. And I really enjoy that because the whole sanctuary at this point is set for the Boar's Head Festival, and it's just me alone in the sanctuary putting the final finishing touches on the set so that it can be ready for all of the week-long activities. The day after the festival, I get there early and we start tearing down. That's not just the Boar's Head stuff, it's everything from Christmas and Advent that went up much earlier in the season, and that ends up being even a longer day than the setup day. I'm usually there from about 7 in the morning until 5 at night for cleanup day, and let me tell you, that's an exhausting day, and I go home and I sleep well.
As you can tell from what you've just heard, there is a lot that's done by a great many people on the Boar's Head Festival Committee to make this festival happen. Now, as festival co-chairs, our job is simply to make sure that the communication and the coordination among all these groups takes place, and we do that primarily through some committee meetings that we have from time to time in the run-up to the festival. And occasionally, Linda and I are asked to jump in and help out if one of the subcommittee chairs needs something from us. We also work with Jack on planning the big chaotic dress rehearsal that happens just 2 or 3 days before the show. Beyond that, there are a few things we do on our own. I help Sarah DeFilippis, who is the head of marketing, and Rebecca Floyd, our box office manager, manage the ticket marketing and sales. I do our fundraising. Linda and I set up the contracts with all of our vendors and our professional artists. I manage the festival finances, and I also work with Rhonda Mitchell on church communication with our church members, our donors, and our ticket buyers. And finally, we make sure that the festival program is produced with everyone's name in it and hopefully spelled correctly. We also work closely with our church staff and the Hartford Police on our security and our medical emergency planning. So Linda, what about you?
With all that we do, I'd like to tell you some of the things that I really love working with, some of the people. I love working with the jesters, scheduling and watching them perform during rehearsal. I love working behind the scenes with everybody, making sure everybody's happy. And I especially love working with the animals. Thank you, Comerford Farm. Thank you, Charlotte Bacon, for your noisy, lovable geese. And thank you, Pat Beam from Whispering Stables for supplying the horse. We love you all.
Now there's someone else that we want to recognize, and that's Rob Lindauer, our operations manager, because he is involved in just about everything that happens. Rob is the guy who makes sure the train runs on time. So now we want to let you in a little secret that we share each year with the cast and crew. We tell them at the dress rehearsal that there will be 4,000 people who buy tickets and come to the performance to have a great time. But the secret is that over the 3 days of the festival, as a cast and crew, we have even more fun than the audience. So if you've not been in the cast or the crew of the festival, we hope to see you on Boar's Head Sign-Up Sunday, Boar's Head Sign-Up Sunday next September when we're back in business.